So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Frost and Johnson pushing Šefčovič's nice guy image to destruction. Now, this is a great piece here by John Grace, which we're going to kind of dissect it. But I actually quite enjoyed reading this article, and he made a lot of sense, because let's not forget here that the goal of the Tory party, by the looks of things, is to get rid of the Northern Ireland Protocol. So Šefčovič saying, oh, we'll give you these concessions, bro, come on, man, let's be reasonable here, is not going to work. And they have pushed him to the edge, essentially, because he's going to find it very difficult, I think, in future to sell more concessions to EU member states. Either that, or he's a master negotiator in terms of spinning this stuff to EU member states. I don't know. So it will never catch on. It was far too reasonable. After Lord Frost had his temper tantrum in Lisbon, it was the turn of Šefčovič, the Vice President of the European Commission, to set out the EU's proposals. Šefčovič could have chosen the nuclear option. He could have started by saying that the Iceman appeared to want to renegotiate the Northern Ireland Protocol that Frost himself negotiated less than 2 years ago. That it would have been helpful for the UK to have spent more time examining the deal they had signed at the time, rather than just any old agreement to get Brexit done and then hope to rework the bits that were politically tricky for hardline Brexiteers at a later date. So saying like, maybe you should have looked at what you agreed to before you agreed to it, rather than now trying to fix the issues you created. But rather than adopt the same combative approach as Frost, Šefčovič opted to play Mr. Nice Guy. And apparently, let's not forget, nice guys don't win, especially not in geopolitics. He knew the UK negotiating team hasn't always been the brightest, that's mean, and hadn't always understood what they were signing up to, so he was prepared to give them a little bit of extra leeway by giving them a second chance. Now, what I think he's saying here is very unfair. What I think, and I don't know if this is what Šefčovič genuinely believes, but to argue that, the UK team is incompetent rather than malicious, I would disagree with. I think they are both, but I think they are very malicious. I think they are aiming to get rid of the Northern Ireland Protocol. So what the writer has put here, I kind of disagree with to an extent. But if Šefčovič genuinely believes that he should give the UK team extra leeway because they are incompetent, I've got news for you, Chief. They want to get rid of the Northern Ireland Protocol. So it's time you step up. So here was what he was proposing. On medicines, he was prepared to turn EU law inside out and upside down to make sure that everyone in Northern Ireland got the drugs they needed with the least hassle. Now, I think that's a good thing, that the people of Northern Ireland should be able to get whatever medicines they would normally get from the UK. We haven't started deregulation, so it's not a threat to the EU single market. And what sort of the EU could be doing is trying to move supply chains for medicines out of GB to NI and from mainland, the sort of EU other EU members to Northern Ireland. I know I say mainland EU, that's not what I mean. Obviously Ireland is part of the EU, so maybe they can get more Irish medicines into Northern Ireland, or maybe medicines from other EU member states. On agri-foods, the Vice President was happy to deal with 80% of the current checks, which is a lot of checks. He understood Northern Irish need for the delights of Cumberland sausages, which, again, that's mainly just the members of the Desperate Unionist Party. Ireland has enough sausages, and Northern Ireland also produces enough sausages, where I think the common person in Northern Ireland really doesn't care. Again, that's, I guess, on my part. So if you are from Northern Ireland, let me know how obsessed with Cumberland sausages you are. And on customs, he would do away with 50% of the regulations currently in place under the Northern Ireland Protocol. And if it helped, he would set up some focus groups so that businesses and politicians could see that any arbitration in disputes was being treated fairly with the interests of Northern Ireland paramount. So what he's saying is, look, we're going to get rid of loads of checks, we're going to give you the medicines you need, and we're going to set up groups so if there are any disputes, we can deal with them fairly quickly, so that Northern Ireland isn't at risk of, falling back into the trouble. So he's being very generous here. And honestly, if I was the Swiss, I'd be like, bro, why are you giving them such a good deal compared to what you've given us? But that's just me. Šefčovič looked pained. He was exhausting being this reasonable with people seemingly hell-bent on making the Northern Ireland Protocol fall, which, again, as we pointed out many times, that's what they're trying to do. He was falling over backwards to find practical solutions to the problems people had told him they were facing, but he could feel in his gut that Frost and the Desperate Unionist Party would find something to quibble about, which they did, the role of the ECJ. Understandably, most questions focused on the role of the European Court of Justice. The issue that Frost had only recently decided was his red line. Why did he do this? Because Frost needed something to tank the Northern Ireland Protocol, and Šefčovič was being far too generous to cause problems elsewhere, so he went for the thing that the EU wouldn't sacrifice, the ECJ. Or the ECJ's role in the Northern Ireland Protocol, should I say. Šefčovič initially tried to sidestep giving an answer. Why couldn't everyone focus on the positives? Maybe that's the thing people can learn about in life, but as a pessimist myself, I haven't got a lot of sympathy for Šefčovič. After all, it was he who was handing out the favours here. If it hadn't been the EU that had insisted on the hardest possible Brexit that threatened the Northern Ireland peace process, which is true, it was GB that did that. But gradually, Šefčovič's patience began to wear thin. All he had tried to achieve was to address the problems that the people in Northern Ireland had told him they were having. And, I think we've mentioned it before, that the changes Šefčovič has proposed are things that the businesses have actually asked for. And in that time, only once had anyone mentioned the ECJ to him, because it wasn't a major problem, but now we are making it a major problem. At the first time the UK government had raised the subject had been as an afterthought in the command paper published in the summer, because the UK are looking for problems on purpose. That's what the goal is here, to tank it. He had effectively been mugged off. It's true. He spent time stretching the boundaries of EU law to solve problems to which the UK didn't really want a resolution. This is the problem that I don't know if certain members in the ECJ don't want to, not in the ECJ, in the Commission, don't want to accept or don't understand, is one side wants the protocol to work, the other side doesn't. Can you guess which side is which? The press conference ended with Šefčovič gently laying out a few home truths. Yes, he had tried to bend the rules. Yes, he had done his best to expedite trade between GB and NI. Yes, he had even taken a few risks on some products, medicines mainly. But the bottom line was that the single market was governed by the ECJ. He had tried to smooth that awkward fact away to help the UK save face. But if the UK was determined on backing out of an agreement it happily signed as a great deal for the UK not long ago, then he needed to accept reality. Never Frost's or Boris's strongest point. Very, very true. It's a good op-ed. In a lot of ways. I disagree with some bits and pieces, but it's a great piece here. If you want to read it, I'll leave the link as always in the description. Point being is that his nice guy image is being pushed to the limits here. He cannot offer much more in terms of concessions, really. And Johnson and Frost know this. They are trying to push him to a point where he's going to have to put his foot down and say no more. And that point is coming soon. The UK and the EU are locked in trade talks, and the role of the ECJ will not be going. Now, it could be part of a longer term play where Frost is looking for concessions elsewhere, but my honest opinion is that Frost wants the Northern Ireland Protocol to fail, and that's why he's doing this. Northern Ireland is doing far better than GB for most things in terms of goods, petrol, anything, the stuff you need to live with, basically. But yeah, anyways, we're going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.